Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Indie Choice Picks. I hope you guys are enjoying your Memorial Day weekend. On this episode, we have a little bit more of a different formula. I have Armand Strange on the show, and if you haven't seen him on Twitter, he's a really fantastic colorist, works for various different indie comic book creators and so on. So he's really cool. He's really a down-to-earth kind of guy. We had a nice little talk about comics, the industry, where that's going. We also talked a little bit about some social justice nonsense that we came across on Twitter in the last couple of weeks. So it was a pretty entertaining talk, and I hope you guys like this episode of Indie Choice Picks. So without further ado, I give you Armand Strange. You guys enjoy the show. Hey Armand, thank you for coming on to the show, man. I know we've had some back and forth trying to get you on. We were actually supposed to have our interview yesterday, but things came up on my end, so now we finally got you on. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm sitting in my backyard,
Oh, film.
enjoying the air.
Yeah. Where is it nice weather out there?
Yeah, right now we got clear blue skies here. I'm out in Kansas, so everything's really flat and I can see for miles in every
Oh, see,
direction.
that's beautiful. I think the closest I'm in Vegas, so you still get some of that country life out here, which I love. If you live like on the outskirts, like not near the strip, but like further north. I live further west, so it's a little bit more rural than it is more urban. So I like that. So Kansas, man, I want to go to Kansas. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, everything's so open and green out here. Like, it's crazy.
One
Very
day,
flat.
yeah, we got a lot of mountains out here, so it's different. My uncle's from Florida, so whenever he comes out here, he's just so blown away by the mountains and stuff because Florida's all flat. At least they have an ocean, so that's
Florida's all flat too.
right. So,
I originally lived in Texas, so we have some mountains there. So.
yeah, I think more like if you move, I guess more Midwest, like I think from Nevada on to maybe Illinois. I could be wrong. It's all just mountains, very, very mountainous regions, hills and stuff. So that's everyone likes that. So it's fun. All
So
right.
you wanted me to talk about this project I'm working on?
Yeah, let's move on from the mountain talking and flatlands to your project. Go ahead, tell the audience who you are, what you're working on, your project. Let them have it.
Well, my name's Armand Strange. I'm an artist, writer, colorist. Just about an everyman. I was picked up by Micah Curtis to work on his project, Inglewood, which is what I've been coloring the last couple of months.
Cool.
Should be done soon, which I'm working on the last few pages. Yeah, I'm working on the last few pages. I'm not working right now. I'm actually talking to you, but that's either here nor there. The book is about an ex-MMA fighter who moves back to Chicago and after a tragedy decides to become a superhero. So he's kind of like Batman,
So no
but not
superpowers.
Batman. No superpowers. He does have he ends up with a suit that helps, like Batman, how Batman has a suit to protect him from bullets and stab wounds and shit like that. So he has a suit like that.
Right.
He gets a super suit.
Gotcha.
And he ends up having to fight. It starts off basic, like, with criminals and stuff like that, but I know escalation is a thing. Now that there's a superhero, supervillains are going to start popping up. And it's being written by Micah Curtis. And he's got like a whole three different books he plans on launching. This is just the first one. The other two tied together, but they're like different stories in different places. Now, I don't mind talking about this project because he likes listening to my ideas about how things should work and whatnot. So that's how I'm so familiar with the project. Besides, I get to read the scripts and everything. I have to to know what I'm coloring and what it's supposed to look like.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So you're working on just the colors. I would assume that someone else is working on the drafts, pencils, and the inks.
there's no inker. Okay, the issue one, because the book is two things. It's issue 0 and issue 1. Issue 1 was drawn all digitally, so the inks were taken care of right away. All right. The artist is Brian Martinez of the Honey Badger Brigade, and he's got his own YouTube channel, does his own thing. He's got a character named Bombshell. He's planning to launch in sooner or later. Um, he did the art for issue 1, and then he did everything for issue 0 traditionally. And I'm having to like we're kind of both sharing the inking responsibilities because we're having the computer do it, like Photoshop is doing it for me, like darkening the lines and whatnot. So issue 0 should have more of like a gritty, more visceral feel, like it was actually drawn by hand because it was. I'm also, me and Brian, we're also working on a poster for Graded Point Five's Peregrine comic that they're trying to launch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also coloring another poster for the same campaign, Peregrine, that features there's a guy named Cider Hype who's got a character named Star Supreme. He's trying to get off the ground too. And
Yeah, I had him on my show. I think a few weeks ago. He was on my show with his book.
Oh, Star Supreme. So you've heard of Star Supreme? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'm all of a sudden I'm everywhere. Yeah.
Wait, so did you work on Star Supreme too?
No, I'm not working on Star Supreme. I am just coloring a poster that has Star Supreme and Peregrine in it. It's like a crossover poster. It's like a cross promotion thing.
I got you. Yeah,
so
it seems like everyone who's been on my show was somehow interconnected with each other. So there's no surprise that you know people who's been on my show before.
What I think is really interesting is I was looking at your Twitter profile, right? And I look closely at the shirt you're wearing, and it's one of Troy's shirts. I recognize it. Asked me about my shitpost agenda.
Yeah,
and you got the little Quanful.
Funny story. I got that shirt from I think Dan Sarcho, who's the creator of Adobe Kruger and the Mythoverse, who I had on my show last week. They're actually the latest video that I just uploaded, and he got me that shirt from Troy. So it's funny, like, because everyone is so interconnected on Twitter, because everyone knows people, and it's a good little positive community there. Because I don't know if you like watch me on Twitter, but these last couple of weeks is just being a complete like madhouse. It's people just coming at me from all angles. But I mean, it's funny because when that happens to me, or if it happens to someone else, it's people just in the community just jump right in and try and like, you know,
jump in, yeah,
just jump in, like go for it. And it's funny because it's usually like the usual suspects, like Dan, Troy sometimes kind of chimes in, and a few other people who like just jump in and try to kind of get people back up and stuff like this from these crazy people. But it's also fun because we all do support each other's work and projects. People share the videos that I make for them. I go and back people's projects. They go ahead and give me a little bit of their support with the YouTube channel. So it's all like a lot of fun. So when people are talking about like people in the Comic Gates community or whatever, it's all hateful. It's like, have you really talked to anybody who's a part of that community? Because a lot of us are really cool people once you start talking to us, you know?
Well, it's gotten to the point where most of us, I know some of us have stepped away from Comicsgate. Like Troy tried to step away. Dan and his Mythoverse team, they've tried to step away, but I still support them. You know, I don't care if you're Comicsgate or not Comicsgate.
Right.
You're doing an indie comic, I'm going to try to.
Right.
You know, that's all it's about now. And the snowball's too big to stop it from rolling.
Right. And that's the same for me. Like, you don't have to be a part of Comic Gates. I personally don't identify with Comic Gates because there are people on both sides who like comics, and then there's people in Comic Gates who still like comics. I'm not familiar with all the drama that's been going on and stuff like that I've been seeing on Twitter. I really don't care. I think comics are for everybody. I don't think that anybody should be saying that this comic is for this person because of this reason and this person should read this comic. I think everybody should have their own. If they want to read a comic, let them read it. Doesn't matter who's the artist or who's the character or anything like that. Just, you know, make something for everybody because that's what it is.
Well, I was told a long time ago that you should never meet your heroes. Like, if you like a specific writer or specific artist, don't go meet them because you're the way you picture them in your head is going to be totally different from the kind of person they are in real life.
Right.
And I want to try to break that because I know people are going to become a fan of my work, things I do. And when they meet me, I want them to think, oh, well, no, this guy's pretty cool. He's pretty laid back. He's pretty chill.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
which I think you've noticed that already, that I'm pretty chill. Like when we're
Yeah.
talking to that, what was that? Train angry guy?
Angry? Oh man, don't even get me started on that. He or she is still talking. I don't know. It's been a week and a half and she's still going on with it with someone else. And I'm like, I muted the conversation and then I'll see like a notification of somebody replying to something and I go, what are they talking about? And then
What?
I'll go into the tweet and then
What?
look it up and then it's apparently still her talking about the same shit that was going on about a week and a half ago. I'm like, dear God, don't you have anything else to do?
Yeah, let it go. Move on.
Yeah, dude.
They started following me at first because I guess they liked the fact that I would talk and I'm just talking. They were trying to make me say things that I'm not
No,
gonna say. I'm not gonna say that.
she was. This is what
And
the plan
I
was.
argued the logic.
This is what the plan was. She was following people that she thought was bigots. So what she would do is follow them, monitor closely to what you're tweeting, and then report those tweets so you could get suspended off Twitter. That's what she was doing because she ended up following me. And then when I wasn't saying anything for like a few days, she ended up blocking me instead. But everybody who was in that thread, she ended up following them and trying to report him because there was another guy named Kevin who actually defended her, and she ended up not only reporting him, but also blocking him. So he got upset. And then I was just like, you know, this is stupid. I'm just going to mute her and let her do her own thing. But she ended up blocking me in the end. But no, it's amazing how many crazy people are like that on Twitter. It's just insane. Like, you don't need to do that.
It's just the way the yo boy Zach said it was. He's like, there's 12 weirdos on the internet, 12 weirdos on Twitter,
Yeah.
12 weirdos on Twitter that like to start drama and start shit. Like you said, people are cooped up, they're bored.
Yeah, I get it. Like you just want to, you know, get a little stimulating conversation going on Twitter. Like we've been locked up for like almost 2 months now. So, I mean, I get it, but I mean, there's so much time that you're wasting on Twitter when you could be crafting
Doing
your
some,
projects or doing something else. You know, it's just
doing something productive. Yeah.
exactly. So I had to get off Twitter this last few weeks. I was on there like a little bit every once in a while. I'll pop in, pop out. But mostly I've just been working on my stuff and getting that stuff done, reading books, reading all the cool indie comics and Kickstarters that I've finally gotten in the mail. So that's been pretty cool. So I've been enjoying that. So, I mean, quarantine
Yeah.
isn't all bad. You have all the time in the world with these things.
I've been seeing you post your manga you're working on.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I can't wait to get that out. So I'm really excited for that. But isn't it about me? It's not about me. It's about you. So let us know. How long have you been coloring for other artists and stuff? How long have you been in the game?
Coloring for other artists. This is about, let's see, 13 plus years.
Wow.
I've been coloring digitally. I used to color for anybody who would let me. And a lot of people would let me because they like it. They'd like to see what I would do. And I got to see a lot of people. I would just watch their careers and see them take off. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named Jeffrey Cruz. Goes by Chamba. He's an Australian artist.
No,
He
I
used
don't think I
to
have.
post a lot of shit on DeviantArt, right? And he was drawing a bunch of like anime-esque drawings. The next thing you know, he's working for Udon and doing
Oh,
Street Fighter art. And I'm like, man, I saw you go from nothing and now you're something. One day that'll be me.
right. I mean, you work
And
hard at it
then,
every day.
flash forward. Yeah, flash forward like 13 years later, I'm finally like, I got myself a good home. I'm living a good life. I'm settled. I'm not like struggling on the streets or anything anymore. Uh, Pick up my tablet again and start coloring. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time when Micah was like, I'm looking for colorists. Do you know any colorists? And I'm like, me. I know one. I'm one. And he's like, well, can you show me your portfolio? And I'm like, yeah, man, I got this whole back catalog on DeviantArt. Go poke through it and see what you see. All I know, it took him 5 minutes. He was fucking around DeviantArt, came back and said, hey, man, you want to work for me? Like, shit, yeah. I'll color a comic book.
It's amazing how all that
So that's
happens.
how I
And
got picked up for Inglewood.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Just.
Go ahead.
I was like, yeah, just right place, right time. And from there, I went. I would poke around on his channels, and then Graded Point 5 started their shit off. And since they're friends with Micah, Micah was like, yeah, I got this colorist narrating to see. He keeps showing off his book, trying to promote it at Inglewood and stuff like that. And they're like, we like the colors, we like the art, this looks good. I mean, the letters, everybody knows the letters are going to be good because the letterist is Eric Weathers. And by now, everybody should know who
Yep.
Eric Weathers is because he's
I know the guy.
everywhere, lettering, everything.
Mm-hmm.
On top of making his own comics. So I don't know where he finds all the time. But yeah, he's lettering the book. So I guess nobody talks about the letterist anymore because they know.
That's interesting too, because I see a lot of people on Twitter who just they're trying to figure it out. They want to do the comic book work. They want to get into the circuit to where people are hiring them for their services, and it's just not quite getting in there. You know what I mean? Like you people have dreams. They want to do comics and stuff like that. They don't really quite know how to do it. For me, for example, I found a new story that I'm interested in that I'm drawing right now, and I've been posting it a lot on my Twitter, some on Instagram, and because of that, from itself, people have been offering me jobs. Hey, man, you do good at what you're doing. You want to color this page or do some freelance work? And I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it. I mean, sometimes you got to let the social political uprising just don't worry about that for a little bit. Yeah, just let it do what it's going to do, because tomorrow's going to be something new that people are fucking complaining about. And there's nothing you can do about that. What you can do is take that time you would have been engaging with people who are going to call you all sorts of names and get you out your tablet and start drawing, and just kind of forget about that world, and that's where, when you start focusing on what you're doing in terms of your book, your work, your art, and practicing every so often, or if you can every day, that's when you start seeing people coming at you and saying, hey man, I really like what you're doing. You want to do this page for me? You want to color this book? How about this cover? Stuff like that. So I'm starting to see that myself. So it takes a lot of focus to kind of just like not be on social media 24/7 and actually spend that time that you would be on social media and doing your work, putting your head down and going to work.
Right. Social media is very addictive.
Oh yeah.
It's habit forming.
It is a big habit.
It's a bad habit to form.
I find myself like going and checking just my email, and then I see all of a sudden I'm on Twitter, and I'm like, wait, no, I needed to check my email. Why am I on Twitter? And it's just like one of those things.
Why am I on Twitter?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why am I here? I was trying to check the weather, and then somehow I'm engaged in this conversation about why orcs are like black people. I'm like, well, what is this? What's happening? I don't get it.
Oh man, that was a stupid hot take.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I have no idea. That was a whole thing in and of itself. I'm like, what? Who's saying that orcs are black people? This is stupid.
I could break it down, explain it, but that would be a whole episode's worth of content on how this works. But
right,
it's not worth it. It's stupid.
You can get a lot of content on Twitter and just kind of break down people's thought process and just make a YouTube video. Because a lot of that, I'm like, where are people getting this logic from? That doesn't make sense. Why are you comparing orcs to black people? I mean, you say you're not racist, but that sounds a little racist.
That sounds kind of racist. Yeah, that sounds very racist. Yeah. A lot of people, they strive and live off of the outrage. They have to be mad constantly, 24/7. If there's something to be mad about, they will find it and make it a big deal, and to start shouting about it until somebody pays attention to them.
Right.
I tweeted out a few days ago because I got tired of people. A lot of people on Twitter talk about other people on Twitter. And I was like, man, there's this quote. I don't know who says it. And I went to go look up who said the quote. And from what I understand, it's like, we don't know who really said this quote, but it still rings true. And that is, small minds discuss people. Average minds discuss events, and great minds discuss ideas. And I want to just discuss ideas and concepts with people.
That's deep. That's really deep. And you kind of see that being reflected today in today's social media. If I can go back in time, I'll go to Tom from MySpace and be like, hey, buddy,
you might want to
Don't do
rethink
this.
your social media thing because it's
Right. This is a bad idea.
this is a bad idea. You might want to rethink it because it's not turned out the way you thought it would be. It was good in the beginning, but I'm telling you, 20 years later, it's not going to be. You need to rethink this whole thing, pal. But yeah, no, I mean, social media, and even not even, you don't have to be on social media. You can be, I mean, anywhere as long as you're able to discuss ideas and kind of throw it back around. Because when you discuss ideas with people, that's how you figure out that maybe your idea isn't the best, and vice versa with the other person. That's why discussion is so important, because you may come across a point of view where someone would be like, I never thought of it that way. Maybe this isn't such a good idea anymore, you know?
Yeah. It will either be telling you it's a good idea or it's a bad idea, or maybe your idea is good, but what if you went this direction, or what if you went down that alley? What if you know? And sometimes ideas come from the dumbest places. I was I was watching a YouTube video and I forgot. Right now I can't recall what it was on, but uh, it was like one sentence, and the whole video was talking about maybe one day we'll advance so far that our brains are no longer in our bodies and we live in a digital domain. And I was thinking, well, why don't I just write a story about that? So I got a hold of two of my friends. One is Tank Ferret, and the other one's Bad Vibes on Twitter, and they're both heavily into cyberpunk sci-fi. And I put them into a DM group, and I was like, okay, here's the seed. Okay, I'm planting this now. I don't know where this is going to go. And Bad Vibes, me and him just going back and forth, and now we're working on a story that I don't know which one of us is going to write. I'm probably going to end up writing it. I don't know who we're going to draw it. I'm pretty sure I'm getting Tank to draw it. But the idea is that in the future, like thousands and thousands of years in the future, humans no longer live in physical bodies and only exist in a cyber domain. And now, due to no activity on planet Earth, the Earth is cooling down, and the machines that are powering the virtual reality are now breaking down. So we have to have like a savior come out of the machine and use global warming to heat the planet back up to keep the machine running.
I think Greta Thunberg might have words with you.
Oh yeah, yeah, but that's the fun part about doing these things, is to show a different perspective on how something that somebody considers a negative may be a positive depending on the context of the situation.
Right. Exactly. And that's exactly true to every degree. Like I'm getting tired of people pulling like fictional works out of their asses and being like, well, because this happened in the show, you're propagating white supremacy. And I'm like, what the fuck? No, it's a fucking cartoon. Leave it alone. You don't have to go ahead and be all philosophical about every fucking piece of fiction you come across. Let it be. It doesn't have to be like all about some type of political or societal like problems. Like black people aren't orcs because they're just terrible things in Dungeons and Dragons. They're orcs because they're fucking orcs, and that's what they do. Have you not watched any Lord of the Rings? Orcs are sometimes genuinely bad, so just kind of let that go. But you got people just like you said before, they just upset about everything. They want to fucking be upset about this and that, and I'm like, can you just enjoy stuff, please? Because you
No,
being upset about
they,
everything,
they can't.
it's stupid. So
See,
dumb.
I'm not a religious man, but when I was in high school, I was like interested in these twins, all right? And they were religious. So I was like, oh, I'll just go to church with you, right? So I go to the church, and I remember their pastor, he was talking about how you must separate the sin from the man, okay? Implying that you can hate the things a person does, but you don't have to hate the person.
Right.
And I was able to extrapolate this, and I do believe it was one of my art teachers who told me that sometimes you have to separate the art from the artist. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what that pastor was talking about. You know, the same concept. And to extrapolate that even further, like we can talk about H.P. Lovecraft. I love the man's works, but I understand the man was a very not a good man. Okay,
No.
but he was also not a healthy man, so I can't hold it against him. But it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Uh,
That's
or
what.
like let's do somebody more contemporary, like Marilyn Manson. I don't like him as a person. Okay, From what I've seen of his interviews and stuff like that, I don't like him as a man, but it's his music, his art.
Mm-hmm.
I like his art. Okay.
Makes sense.
And I wish people would do that with me. Like, I mean, you don't have to like me. As long as you like my art, that's fine.
Well, see,
that's good enough for me.
That's the thing. It's like, again, that goes back into cancel culture now, because if you do something, people will automatically start boycotting you because you did something. And I'm like, it was something that people were boycotting. I think it was Chris Hemsworth's new movie, Extrication, on Netflix or something like that. And people were pulling it apart, saying that the theme of the movie was, I don't know, something. I forgot. I wasn't really paying attention because it was stupid. And they were like, boycott Chris Hemsworth's new movie. And I'm like, no, just fucking enjoy the movie. Like, because you're going to start boycotting the movie, and then you're going to start breaking apart Chris Hemsworth and all this other stuff, because you've seen it happen. I mean, we've seen it happen with Amber Heard, too, and the whole Johnny Depp situation. And it's like, oh, well, she should be fired in jail. I'm like, yeah, but no one should be boycotting Aquaman, too. Like, what she did was wrong, and I hope she paid for what she did. But
you're hurting not only her, but you're hurting what's his name, Jason Momoa, and the directors of photography and the producers and the writers and everybody else who are working on that film. You're not just hurting her,
right?
But what you're talking about is the Latin word for that is, I think it's reductio ad absurdum, which means to reduce to absurdity, where people just argue a point to the most absurd. They just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until they come to the conclusion they're looking for, and you realize that the conclusion is you're being absurd. You didn't need to go that deep. You're looking too deep. Just enjoy the story for a silly story, you know?
Right. Because I know people who were just like, they find out that I write and do comics, and because of my political affiliation and how I, talk and stuff like that, it's like, well, we're not going to support your work anymore. And I'm like, that's fine. It's probably not for you anyway, if you think that I'm a shitty person. But if you can't sit here and separate the art from the person, like, you should be able to enjoy someone's work and be like, oh, wow, this is very innovative, and not like the person. That's just how it is. Because you're not really hurting me, to be honest. For every person that says like, oh, you're not going to read my comic book, there's like 20 other people out there to be like, wow, I think this is great. You're just depriving yourself of a little bit of enrichment and a different story to kind of poke your head at, you know? Like, there's a lot of people on TV and Netflix who I don't like as actors, but the story is compelling to where I'll be like, I can look past that for a little while and, enjoy this show. I still don't like the actress, but I can do this.
Here's something you might find funny. One of my favorite movies is Elf.
Right.
One of my least favorite actors is Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I don't like Will Ferrell either, but that movie is fucking funny.
Right? It's like, hey, wait a minute. One of my exes put it on. I sat there and watched it, and I was like, this is a pretty good fucking movie. I didn't think I would like it because it's Will Ferrell, but I do like this movie, even though I don't like that actor. It's
I don't like
funny
Will
the way
Ferrell,
that worked out.
I think every year I watch Elf. Every Christmas I have to watch Elf because it's such a fucking funny movie. It's so funny.
Also, I know you've encountered those people who tell you you can't draw a manga because you're not Japanese.
Oh, no, I'll do you one better. I had people saying that I can't like punk rock music because I identify as conservative. I'm like, what? How are you going to tell me what I'm allowed to like? Like, that's so backwards. Like, you can't tell me what I'm allowed to like. But then the whole manga thing, I did have someone tell me that, oh, you can't draw manga because you're not Japanese. But before, people thought I was posting work of something else. Like, they thought that I was supporting some other work. So these same people, they were like, oh, this is great. What's the name of the story? And then when they find out that I did the artwork and I drew it and I'm the writer, they'd be like, oh, you can't do that because you're not Japanese. And I go, the fuck happened? Yesterday you were saying how great this artwork is, and now you're like condemning it because someone who's non-Japanese drew it? Come on.
Oh man, yeah. I know those exist out there. And going to back to punk, I've seen that argument that that if you're a certain political affiliation, you cannot like punk music. But punk is about going against the mainstream norm. So if a majority is saying that, oh, you can't be conservative in punk, then you being conservative in punk is exactly what you're supposed to be punk, because you're going against the norm.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
If people don't understand that, it's going against the establishment. That's what punk music is. And that's all relative on what the establishment is at that time.
Well, see, that's modern punk seems to have lost the meaning of punk. They just think, oh, it's just the loud screaming music and the fancy funny hairstyles, wearing leather jackets and calling it good.
Guys, just like Sundays, I usually just like take a break from social media. I normally don't get on there. Fuck, I need to recuperate for the next week because I know like fucking Monday, tomorrow, there's going to be something crazy on Twitter. And you're like, I got to
Oh,
say something. Shit.
well, last night there was like I told Micah that it was just the tip of an iceberg going on, and today it is like all over comics Twitter, and I've seen more than I've ever wanted to see of anything in my life because it exploded overnight. I was like, oh God, what did I
What was
wake
it?
up to? Oh man, I'd rather not say that is how heinous and how bad this is, but the person in question was warned not to keep poking the bear.
Oh, God.
And they kept poking, and they were like, okay, you really want to go down this rabbit hole? Well, hang on here. And then next thing you know, I'm seeing gimp shoots and dildos, and it's just like,
uh,
okay, this is too much.
yeah, no,
This is
I'm okay. We can, there's so much.
right. You've heard just a little hint, and you're like, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no.
no, no, I don't want to go there.
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
I'm sparing you the atrocities I've seen today, man. I
Yeah, you know when you get off social media for like a few hours, whenever you hit that little Twitter icon, you get bombarded by so much information from so many people so quickly that like honestly my head starts to hurt. But when you just like honestly, if you leave your phone in the other room and go to your safe area in your house to where you can just be alone, no wife, no kids, no animals, and just chill, you feel so much better. You're not concerned with what's going on because, again, people are literally trying to change the world on Twitter. They're trying to change it to be superheroes. 'Cause, I mean, the last few days has been how people want to kill Jeff Bezos because he's on track to being a trillionaire, and I'm like, oh, like, and these same people were, fucking Bernie Sanders supporters. So they just hate rich people for some reason, and it's like there's no talking sense into them. There's no way you can sit here and try and talk sense into anybody, and
what
that
I
works
think of,
both.
and
It works both ways. I mean, you have the right to say what you want to say. I have the right to say what I want to say. At the end of the day, we can say, "Look, I disagree." We can go our separate ways. But even if you do say you disagree, I say I disagree all the time, and people just come back and just keep on going and going and going. And I can only say I disagree so many times before I mute your ass. Like, I disagree. I mean, I don't need a reason to disagree. I understand your point of view and I understand where you're coming from. I just don't disagree. I don't agree with saying that, oh, Jeff Bezos should do this with his money. No, Jeff Bezos is his money. He can do whatever the fuck he wants with it. I really don't
right,
care, right? I don't have the right to tell people what they should do with their money. And if you can tell Jeff Bezos what to do with his money, then I should be able to kick your door in and take all your shit and not have you say a word. So let's do that. But when you turn that around and explain to people that this is Twitter and people are going to say whatever they want for the sake of having the ability to say whatever they want, that's what it is. And that's why we live in a society where free speech matters. Because if we didn't have free speech, if everyone was getting policed on everything that they say, like I said before, no one would ever think twice about how bad their ideas are until someone comes out and says, hey, have you ever thought of it this way? Da, 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 da. Oh, well, that makes sense. I never thought of it this way. This is why discussion is important. Just shutting down somebody in a conversation because you disagree is not the way to do things. If you disagree, say you disagree and move on. You can say you disagree and why, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, because it's Twitter. You can only type so much shit in a tweet. You can't say everything that you're wanting to say. I've had people like tell me their thoughts in like 6-7 tweets, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like fucking reading this. Like, I don't. Like, just leave it alone. if you
Why
want
did
to
you write me a book? I don't
right.
care.
I don't fucking care. Like, if it will be better because I can't sit here and fucking type on my phone like all my thoughts. Like, let's get on a live stream like we're doing now, or pre-recorded video stream like this. Let's talk. That way we can get all of our thoughts and ideas out in real time. Because you're coming at me 3-4 days later about shit that I said 2-3 days ago, and I'm like, I don't remember what I was talking about. Like, what is this even for? I don't.
Like I tell people, I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast. How do you expect me to remember what I said 3 or 4 days ago?
Right. Like, if I wake up and I have my coffee and I get on Twitter like later in the day and I see my notifications are like 20 plus and I'm like, God damn it, what the fuck did I say? 'Cause I don't remember what I said. Like, I retweet and tweet shit like 24/7 on Twitter. I don't remember half the shit I say. Did I piss someone off? Is someone liking it? I don't know. I'm scared to check, so I'm just gonna leave this alone.
Yeah.
It's too much, man. It's too much. So, all right, dude, we're coming down to the bottom of the hour. Really quick, before every show ends, I like to ask every guest to tell us a little bit, give people a piece of advice. So usually it's people who are running Kickstarters or crowdfunding campaigns, I tell them to sort of give a piece of advice on how to run a successful one. But since you're an artist and you seem like a very successful one, what's the one piece of advice you can give people who are trying to freelance more? Like, what can they do to get more work and to get people to get better at their craft? Go for it.
You practice constantly. I know that's cliched, but that's what you got to do. Build up a portfolio. All right, give it a spot. Use DeviantArt or whatever. I'm not saying hang out on the side and be friends with people on DeviantArt, just so you can store your artwork. That way, when somebody wants to see what you can do, you can show them, and they can tell. And don't expect success overnight. That's not the way this works. It takes time.
It takes
Everything takes time.
Right. So how long can we expect until Inglewood goes up on a crowdfunding?
Oh, it's already been funded and stuff like that. That's why I'm directing people towards Peregrine, because Peregrine is currently funding. Inglewood is shut down. We should be shipping next month. The book should be going out to people who ordered it. And then I start working on Inglewood too.
All right. Well, it sounds like you're a pretty busy man, dude. That's good. That's good to have, especially during a time like this, work and making something, you know?
Yeah. I had some anti-CG guy tell me that, why are you associating with them? And I was like, because they pay my bills.
Yeah. Like, the crazy Comic Gates guy, I forgot. I don't know. He was, these people, whenever you talk to them and they like pop out of nowhere, there's 3 like big things that you have to take into account before you engage. 1, how many followers do they have? If it's less than 5, don't engage. 2, do they have a bio profile picture of themselves, or if it's like just a random photo as an avatar? And 2, look at their bios and see what it says, because if they have pronouns and gender and all that stuff in there, do not fucking engage.
Yeah, those are red flags. Yeah, I noticed like when they got like less than 5 followers and the account was created last month. Like, who are you? Like, literally, who are you? Where did you come from?
Right, like you're retweeting what I'm saying to your 4 followers. Are you kidding me? No one's gonna see that shit. No one's gonna care. Why are you wasting your time here?
Another thing I check for is engagements of the tweet. Like, how many people are liking and how many people are retweeting what you're saying. Right. And usually I can see, oh, you got two likes and you got 1 retweet. But the guy replying to you has got 20 likes and like, X amount more retweets. So it's like, you're not going anywhere with what you're shouting at, man.
Right. Yeah. It's like I want to just make up a meme or just a guy shouting at a brick wall, because it's like no one's hearing you right now, and you most of these people are just here, or I think maybe they're dummy accounts to where they don't want to get their main account banned or suspended or anything like that. But yeah, I don't fucking report. Right. Like, I don't report anybody on Twitter, to be honest, unless you report me first and we have this whole war going on. But honestly, like, you can say whatever you want. I don't care. And I think that goes for a vast majority of people on Twitter. Like, say whatever you want. Like, I don't care. I don't care what you do. But, I mean, we're not going to have schoolyard politics here. If you're just going to, like, just shout at me and call people names, I'm just going to ignore you, because at the end of the day, this isn't helping my health, to be honest. It's actually killing me with all the stress and everyone yelling at me on all fronts. So it's like, I don't fucking need this. You know how I can just like somebody was and this would be the last thing I talk to you about Twitter. But that whole black cat illustration that was been floating around, it's kind of like well over 300 likes in the last few days. Have you seen that one that I posted?
Yeah, with she's got the white eyes and they got the upper lip drawn and she's standing and she looks derpy. She kind of looks like Squirrel Girl, the new Squirrel Girl, like that artist's style. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, what is it? Like today, somebody was like, "Oh, I'm getting tired of people like you complaining about this scrap design," and I'm like, "That's fine, but it's not going to stop me from. It's not going to stop people from giving their opinion." He was like, "Well, if you could give your opinion, then I can tell you how angry I am about this design and how you shouldn't be talking about this." I go, "Here's an idea. How about you just put your phone down and get the fuck off Twitter?
Go someplace else. I know how to fix the problem for you."
Yeah.
What I don't get about that particular design is it seems to be a trend of drawing the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid really wide, like they've just seen something really surprising, and the pupils really small. I'm like, you make them look deranged. Why do you want to make all these characters look deranged?
And that's not Black Cat, dude. Like some people, I think a good, like maybe 2/3 of that entire thread were just like, she would not have the physical capacity to leap rooftops like Black Cat should because she's so like, she's a pretty round character design. And I'm like, well, you know, I never thought of that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm so glad this design was scrapped.
She should be slinky like a cat. So you think of a cat when you see the character. Same thing for Catwoman. Spider-Man should be thin and spindly, so you think of a spider when you look at him.
Right.
Superman should be built like a goddamn brick wall, so he looks like he can stop a speeding locomotive or, you know, like a giant shield. Certain characters have certain body types.
Right. Maybe they based that design off Garfield. I don't know.
Wrong cat.
Right. Maybe she had too much lasagna, and they were like, you know what, Black Cat. They never really specified what kind of cat. So let's go with Garfield.
Garfield's a good model.
Damn it! That should have been a caption of my tweet. Like Black Cat, more like Garfield. Damn it! Oh, that would have pissed so many people off. But oh shit. Oh man! All right, Armand, dude, it was good talking to you, buddy, man. When you do launch your other campaign on your book, let me know. We can get you guys back on the show. We can get your whole team on the show, actually.
All right. I'll send you a link to Peregrine so you can have it down there so people can get some of my work by supporting Peregrine.
Right, yeah, guys. If you guys,
that's the best I could do right now.
Yeah, if you guys like this whole conversation and like the whole format here, go down there. I'm gonna have the link in the description. Go down there, back that project. I know we didn't talk much about comic books, but I mean, I think that is more of like a societal thing now. Somehow, comic books has turned into the sub pop culture norm about what people want in comics versus what people should think comics should be about. But I mean, even me drawing mostly males, I get the whole backlash too, and I'm like, I'm just drawing because that's what I like to do. I'm not drawing to impress anybody. I'm drawing to just do what I like to do. So yeah, there's people out there that tell you what you should be drawing, and I'm like, no, sorry, that's not gonna work for me. So
Art police.
Oh yeah, dog police. All right, Armin, man, I'm going to let you go. I have my wife here giving me the eye, so I have to go. She wants me to do something, probably fix a door or something. I'm pretty sure. So I will see you on Twitter, my friend.
All right, later.
Later, man.
And that is it for this episode of Indie Choice Picks, guys. You made it to season 3. I'm excited. I am so stoked to get new creators onto this show. If you are an indie comic book creator or a writer or whatever, as long as it's indie, I want you guys to come onto this show. I am now taking submissions to have guests onto this show, and you guys are all welcome to come and join me on the show. I think I said show more than once. Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Heroic Studios, or you can hit me up on Instagram, Will at Heroic Studios. Both of my tags and links to my social media is right there. So please let me know if you guys are interested in coming onto the show. I will see you guys next time with another fun-filled, exciting